She may never say it out loud, but every woman carries battles you'll never see. Silent fears, hidden doubts, and unspoken needs buried beneath her strength. She laughs, she gives, she loves deeply, but inside there are wounds she's learned to cover with grace. If you really want to love her, protect her, or understand her, you need to see beyond what's visible. Because sometimes the strongest women are the ones breaking the most quietly. And if you miss these signs, you don't just miss her pain, you miss her. Let's have a real conversation. A conversation that steps beyond the surface and dares to explore the often unspoken truths about women. Not to manipulate, not to control, but to understand, and through understanding to grow deeper in connection. Because here's the thing, women are strong, fiercely strong, but strength doesn't mean the absence of vulnerability. And if you're a man who genuinely seeks to build meaningful relationships with women, whether as a partner, friend, or even father, then you must understand the quiet corners of her heart, the places she often hides, sometimes even from herself. So today, I want to open that door. These are 10 hidden female weaknesses that many women carry, sometimes silently, and that men should know now. It doesn't matter how radiant she looks when she walks into a room, how confident her voice sounds in a meeting, or how many compliments she receives from friends, co-workers, or even strangers. Many women carry within them a deep, often hidden fear that they are not enough. This fear is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It lives in the way she second guesses a text before hitting send. It lives in how she stares at herself in the mirror, picking apart her reflection even after being told she's beautiful. It shows up in the way she asks, "Are you sure?" even when you've said yes. And the truth is, this fear doesn't stem from weakness. It stems from a lifetime of subtle and not so subtle conditioning, where women are told to measure their worth by how closely they fit into someone else's idea of perfection. Whether it's society's standards, cultural expectations, or past relationship wounds, she has been handed a ruler she never asked for and told to measure herself against it daily. This feeling can become a silent companion. She might not even be aware of it fully. She functions, she thrives, she supports others, but within her is this quiet voice that says, "Will I ever be enough to make him stay? Enough to make him choose me every day, even when life gets hard?" And it's not always about romantic relationships. This fear can show up in her friendships, in her family dynamics, in the workplace, anywhere she desires to be accepted, loved, or valued. When she pours herself into others and doesn't feel that same depth returned, it confirms the fear. When she works twice as hard for half the recognition, it whispers again. When she's compared to someone else, even subtly, the voice grows louder. This fear is not always dramatic or loud. It can be quiet, even graceful in how it hides, but it's there, shaping how she shows up in the world and how she guards her heart. And the hardest part is she may not speak of it. She may pretend she's fine, that she doesn't care, that she's strong, and in many ways she is. But strength and insecurity often live side by side. They don't cancel each other out, they coexist. So she may laugh at your jokes, support your dreams, and never complain, but underneath that is the constant internal dialogue asking, am I doing too much or not enough? It's why compliments that focus only on her appearance fall short. It's why inconsistency from a man cuts deeper than he realizes. It's why disappearing for a few hours without communication can feel like abandonment, not space. Because in those moments, that hidden fear is activated, and she begins to question if she matters to you at all. When a man begins to understand this, when he becomes sensitive to this unspoken truth, he learns the power of his words and actions. It's not about fixing her because she's not broken. It's about seeing her, seeing beyond the smile, past the strength, and into the soul of the woman who just wants to be accepted in her full humanity, the woman who wants to be reminded, not because she's needy, but because she's real, that she is enough, that who she is at her core is worthy of love, time, presence, and consistency. This doesn't mean she lacks self-worth. In fact, many women are working hard every day to love themselves deeply. But even the most self-aware woman can carry this hidden vulnerability, and it's not your job to fix it, but to honor it. To handle her heart with care, to recognize that behind the strong, capable, loving woman you see is someone who needs to be seen without needing to perform. Ask ChatGPT. You can be right next to her and she'll still feel alone if you're not emotionally present. That's the part many men don't fully grasp. Emotional abandonment is not about physical distance. You could live together, sleep in the same bed, eat at the same table, and yet she can feel like a stranger in her own relationship. Emotional abandonment doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small, quiet ways. It's when she shares something vulnerable and you brush it off. It's when she tries to connect with you, but your mind is elsewhere. It's when she feels something is wrong and you tell her it's nothing, then shut down instead of opening up. Over time, these moments add up. They create gaps, emotional spaces where intimacy should live, but instead silence does. And when those gaps become too wide, she starts to retreat too. Not because she wants to pull away, but because she feels alone in her emotional experience. Women are emotionally intelligent beings. They value connection that goes beneath the surface. It's not enough for them to just coexist. They want to feel understood, heard, felt. And emotional presence isn't complicated. It's about being attentive when she speaks, not just listening with your ears, but with your eyes, your body, your energy. It's about showing that her inner world matters to you, that what she's going through isn't invisible. When she opens up, she's offering you a key to her heart. If you don't use it, or worse, ignore it, the door begins to close slowly. Emotional abandonment is not always about arguments or betrayal. It's often about neglect. A neglect of emotional connection, of shared feelings, of meaningful conversation. And the result is always the same. She feels unseen. She won't always say it because it's not always easy to explain. Sometimes even she doesn't realize what's missing. She just knows something feels off. She starts to feel disconnected, uncertain. She may stop trying to share. She might go quiet. And when she goes quiet, it's not peace. It's distance. She's testing the space between you, wondering if you'll notice, if you'll lean in, if you'll care. And when you don't, she begins to grieve the closeness she once felt. It's not about being perfect or always knowing the right words. It's about being emotionally available. It's about showing up not just when things are going well, but when things feel confusing, frustrating, or uncomfortable. Women don't expect men to have all the answers. What they want is effort, vulnerability, presence. They want to be let in. They want to know they're not the only one investing emotionally. If she's the only one asking the deep questions, expressing her heart, trying to bridge the emotional gap, she will feel abandoned, even when you're sitting right next to her. Emotional intimacy is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And when it's missing, everything else starts to feel fragile. Even the physical connection begins to fade because her body cannot connect where her heart feels abandoned. Many men try to fix this with gifts, trips, or distractions, but none of that matters if she doesn't feel emotionally safe. You may not realize how powerful your emotional attention is to her. Just asking how she feels and really caring about the answer. Just putting down your phone when she's speaking. just looking her in the eyes and holding space for her emotions. These things may seem small, but to her they mean everything. It's how she knows you care. It's how she knows she's not emotionally alone. Without this, she may stay physically, but emotionally, she begins to exit. Not because she stopped loving you, but because she stopped feeling loved. Not because she changed, but because the silence between you did. When a woman feels emotionally abandoned, it breaks her trust in the connection she thought you both were building. She'll give you her last ounce of energy even when she's running on empty. She'll sit with you in your pain while quietly carrying her own. She'll make sure you feel supported, understood, and protected, all while silently hoping someone will do the same for her. Many women have a deeply rooted instinct to nurture, to heal, to uplift. And this instinct doesn't switch off. It flows from the core of who she is. But the hidden cost is this: she often tries to heal others while bleeding herself. She's the one who holds it all together, not because it's easy, but because she feels she has to. And while she's tending to your wounds, she's often ignoring her own. Not because she doesn't need healing, but because she's been taught that her needs should come last. You might not notice it at first. She's strong, she's reliable, she never asks for much. She's the one checking in on you, making sure your day went well, encouraging you to pursue your goals, reminding you of your potential. But rarely does she say, "I'm struggling." Rarely does she admit she's tired. Rarely does she break down even when she's on the edge. Because in her mind, if she stops holding it together, who will? This silent weight she carries is often invisible to the men in her life. She doesn't want to be a burden. She doesn't want to seem needy. So she carries on, smiling through exhaustion, loving through emptiness, giving even when she's not receiving. She doesn't complain, not because it's all okay, but because she doesn't think she's allowed to fall apart. And here's the truth many miss. Her giving doesn't mean she doesn't need. Her strength doesn't mean she doesn't break. Her silence doesn't mean she's okay. She has just learned to love through service. She believes that if she loves you enough, supports you enough, heals you enough, maybe you'll never leave. Maybe you'll finally see her. Maybe she'll become unforgettable in your life. But when her efforts go unnoticed, or worse, taken for granted, it leaves a quiet ache inside her. She wonders if anyone will ever notice when she's the one who needs saving. If anyone will ever ask how she is really doing. If anyone will ever hold her the way she holds everyone else. Many women carry emotional bruises you'll never see unless you slow down and pay attention. She might be functioning, smiling, getting things done, but underneath it all, she's tired. Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. She wants to rest. She wants to feel like she's not the only one fighting for connection, for peace, for understanding. She wants someone to hold space for her without her needing to ask. She wants to be able to say, "I'm not okay today," and know that it won't be used against her. She wants her vulnerability to feel safe, not judged. She wants to feel like she matters even when she's not performing for love. The hardest part is that many women don't even realize how deeply this is affecting them. They just know they feel distant, numb, quietly resentful, but still they love. Still they show up. Still they give. And they keep bleeding, thinking it's normal. Thinking love is supposed to feel like sacrifice without return. It's not that she wants to stop giving. It's that she wants someone to finally give back. She wants a man who will not only receive her love but reflect it back with presence, care, and awareness. Someone who will look her in the eyes and say, "You don't have to carry it all alone." Not because she's weak, but because even the strongest ones need somewhere to fall apart. Even the healers need healing. Even the givers need to receive without guilt or hesitation. When you recognize that she's been bleeding while bandaging your wounds, you begin to understand love on a deeper, more sacred level, ChatGPT said. She's learned how to keep her voice calm even when her heart is screaming. She's practiced the art of staying silent just to avoid being labeled as too emotional, too dramatic, or too needy. Over time, she's trained herself not to ask for the reassurance she deeply craves, not because she doesn't need it, but because she doesn't want to be misunderstood. Society has taught her to be self-sufficient, to glow with independence, to never depend too much on anyone else. But that doesn't mean the desire for reassurance has disappeared. It just means she's learned how to mask it. She'll tell herself she's okay when she's not. She'll act like she doesn't care when you pull away, even though she feels every inch of that distance. She wants to know she matters, not just once, but over and over again. And it's not about insecurity. It's about intimacy. It's about knowing that someone sees her, chooses her, still wants her, even after all the layers are peeled away, even after she's cried in front of you, even after she's shared the darker parts of her past, even after she's shown you the raw version of who she really is. The truth is, every woman, no matter how strong or successful or composed she appears, has moments where she questions her worth. Moments when she wonders if she's lovable, if she's still beautiful to you, if she's still enough. And she won't always ask you directly. Sometimes she'll test the waters. She'll send a subtle text to see how you respond. She'll change something about herself to see if you notice. She'll ask you a question she already knows the answer to, just to hear how you frame it. She wants to know you're still paying attention. She wants to know that even when the honeymoon phase fades, your affection doesn't. Reassurance isn't about fixing her. It's about anchoring her. It's about reminding her that even on the days when she's not perfect, when she's tired, when she's quiet or moody or overwhelmed, she is still deeply valued. That she doesn't have to perform to keep your interest. That she doesn't have to compete with an invisible standard to hold your heart. And the thing is, she's probably not going to ask you for this, not directly. She's going to wait and hope you understand, hope you sense it, hope you just know. But if you don't, if you treat her need for reassurance as weakness or insecurity, she'll retreat. Not in anger, but in protection. She'll start to close parts of herself off, thinking it's safer to be unseen than misunderstood. What she longs for is emotional consistency. Not grand gestures, but quiet confirmations. A hand that reaches for hers without being asked. A message that says, thinking of you without a reason. A compliment that's not just about how she looks, but about how she moves through the world. When a woman feels that kind of consistent reassurance, she flourishes, she opens, she softens, she trusts. Not because she lacks confidence in herself, but because your words and actions remind her that she's not alone in this relationship, that you're just as invested emotionally as she is. When she doesn't have to guess how you feel about her, she can rest. When she knows your love is steady, her energy can go toward building rather than questioning. It's easy to think she doesn't need reminders, that she knows how you feel, that your presence is enough, but never underestimate the power of a sincere, "I'm grateful for you," or a gentle, "You matter to me more than you know." These words don't just soothe her, they anchor her. They give her the emotional grounding she needs to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel secure in your love without constantly searching for proof. So if you truly desire to understand a woman, Don't just listen to her words, listen to her silence, to the spaces between what she says and what she feels. Look beyond the smile, the strength, the independence, and recognize the quiet truths she carries. When you begin to see her not just with your eyes, but with your heart, you unlock a connection far deeper than attraction. You build trust, intimacy, and love that lasts. Because at the end of the day, every woman wants one thing: to feel safe being fully herself, and to be loved not just for what she gives, but for who she truly is.